Hey guys, this is Statton. Welcome back to another Heart to Heart with Statton. Today I would like to talk to you about a subject that I've been hearing an awful lot about for a very, very long time now. I may have touched a little bit on the subject on a previous video, but I would like to get into some more detail about it. You see, I've been playing Neverwinter, well, not as long as most have. I was around during the mod 15, maybe a little before that time. Anyways, so I remember back when your character could level up, you could actually choose what skills you wanted to increase there on the attacks that you were given like skill points that you could give to the attacks that you put on your trigger buttons. I'm not really sure what to call them, but anyways, the reason I'm bringing this up is because ever since mod 15 or 16, I think it's 16. Since mod 16, I've heard a lot of people kind of start complaining about the game, saying it's not as fun as it used to be. Oh, it's changed and all that. And I too have noticed the changes. Do the changes bother me? Not really. I mean, there are some of the changes are, for me at the most, are just an inconvenience at best. But video games are supposed to be kind of that way. What do I mean by that? I mean, one thing that makes a game very fun is the fact that it's supposed to be challenging. In one of my older videos, you actually see me solo the Cloak Tower dungeon. Maybe I've got more than one video of me doing that. Yeah, I think I might have two actually. But that doesn't matter because in the end, the Cloak Tower dungeon is supposed to be the very first dungeon if you play the game in the order you're supposed to play it in. It's supposed to be the very first dungeon that requires you to actually play it with a group. Now, the first few times I tried to solo it, it went horrible. I just wasn't strong enough for the job. But at the time when I actually recorded myself, I was already a level 80, although it will say I was like a level 12 because in those type of dungeons, it will level cap you, drop you back down to that specific level. However, it doesn't make you necessarily, or didn't make you as weak as a level 12 because your stats may have dropped down to fit a level 12, but you still had your equipment that you were wearing. So it's like being a level 12, but a very juiced up level 12. Anyways, I remember soloing that dungeon so many times whenever I just wanted to have fun or think. Not to mention for specific reasons, I have an attachment to that dungeon. That's where I met a friend, which I've told the story about, which led me to meeting a bunch of other friends that I hang around to this very day. But that's the subject I'm talking about has nothing to do with that right now. The thing is during these mod changes, they made it so you can't uh, power up your attack skills with skill points anymore, which took me a little bit to realize that. Because when I one day I logged in, I was like, "Where are they?" I knew there were some changes, but it's like I didn't think the changes would be that good or that extravagant. I mean, um, but in the end, after I realized, nope, all your skills power up with level. I was like, okay, that's I can work with that. Then these other changes over times where now they don't have armor piercing. They add that to critical severity. Well, that's to me no trouble at all because it seems like either way you're still doing more damage. So, yeah, I can deal with that. Well, a lot of people do tend to complain about these things, about these changes. And I mean, if you don't like these changes, that's fine. I'm not dissing anyone who doesn't like them. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video isn't really to justify the game or to diss the players that stand against it now. What it what the point of this video is to hopefully stir all your minds up and get you to wonder one thing. Are these changes really bad? I mean, yeah, the changes also involve things being nerfed, which right when you hear that, the split second, you get a negative feeling. You're like, so I'm not as strong as I used to be, or this thing I have is not as strong as I used to be. This companion's not as strong as it used to be. Well, the thing is I've noticed something about video games, and that is, I especially recognized this when I was a kid. You see, I played the Super Nintendo a lot when I was younger. I was strictly a Nintendo type person. I didn't deviate from that. I didn't go for other consoles until I was inspired to get the PS4 a few years back. Anyways, there was one game I was playing, and I wanted to reach the end so bad, but I couldn't because it was so hard. And the game was so fun, but but when I was at school, I don't know if all schools did this, but we were given these. I don't remember what they're called anymore, but you could use them to order books occasionally and buy books, and the books would be shipped to the school, and there you would be able to pick them up as a kid and take them home, and they'd be yours. Well, one book that caught my eye was a cheat code book, and this was before you could just go up on the internet and find all these cheats and everything. So books like this they were hard to come by. Well, anyways, I brought the book home and I was flipping through the pages. A lot of the games the cheat codes were for were games I didn't even own, but there was one cheat code I found that was in regards to the game I played, and it was a cheat code to make your character invincible, that he couldn't die by any means. So I thought that was kind of actually cool. I used that cheat code, and I did play all the way to the very end, and I reached the very end. However, it didn't take me very long. While I was indeed, I thought it was an awesome thing when I first used it, but it didn't take me to very long to play the game for me to realize, wow, this game just isn't really fun with this cheat code. Now, why is this? Well, the thing is I was thinking about that and I realized because there's no challenge to it. When you're playing and you got your character set to what people call God mode today, you don't have to try to dodge things. You don't have to. I mean, you could act like you're not invincible and try to play the game to the best of your ability, but you still don't have that sense to where you better try your hardest or you're gonna lose. Without that feeling, the game wasn't fun. Now, what does that have to do with Neverwinter? Well, the reason it has to do with Neverwinter is because there reached a point where when I would do the random queues, some of these dungeons were so easy that we as groups could just plow right through the monsters and not even take a scratch. It got to the point where all the players would try to do is speed run through these dungeons really fast, which is understandable because they want to earn those Astro Diamonds as fast as possible. But also because they don't want to linger in these dungeons longer than they have to because, well, the dungeons that you can do that in they were boring to these players. Now, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, maybe a little longer, and I always have a hard time keeping track of time, as you can tell. Um, there was this friend of mine. She's sort of new to Neverwinter. Well, she decided to join the game and create a new character. And I was at work at the time, but she messaged me saying that if I wanted to game with her and help her out, we could do that. Well, by the time I got home, she was already in the area of the Cloak Tower dungeon. Well, with the Cloak Tower dungeon area, she had just a few quests left. So I partied up with her, and we sped through those quests. Then came the final step, where all we had to do was go through the dungeon itself. I thought just to make things easier for us and to show her how exploring every nook and cranny in a dungeon can actually be beneficial, to a small extent, but beneficial nonetheless. I set the queue to private, so it was just her and I, and we were on our mics chatting together. Now, in this dungeon, we were both getting owned. The very dungeon, the Cloak Tower dungeon that I used to be able to solo in, I was getting massacred, and so was she. But here's the thing. I I wasn't frustrated by it. And I know that there are some people that take gaming so seriously that if they die, they'll get angry, they'll throw out a tidal wave of profanity. They'll just get really mad. Some people will rage quit. And not trying to diss them or anything, but I sometimes wonder what's the point of doing all that. In the end, it's a game. It's not real life. There are more important things really to get angry over, such as, oh, you may be in such financial trouble that you're in danger of losing the house, or you've got a relative who you love so much that's severely ill and is in the hospital. Those things are worth getting frustrated over. Things like Neverwinter, it's a game. And here's the weird part. Even though I was getting killed over and over in these dungeons, I wasn't frustrated because it felt fun to me. The challenge in these first dungeons are back now. I understand that this is not very helpful for the new players, but that's where the older players, the stronger players, need to learn to team up sometime with the newer players and help them out. They don't want to do that. They don't. A lot of them don't have the patience for it, which they should, because if they want this game to live on, then these these older, more experienced players need to be able to learn to help and befriend all the new players, and both sides need to learn to work together. Because if they don't, these newer players are going to get frustrated and they will end up leaving. And the game needs just as many new players as they need the older players. Now, I was more worried. I wasn't frustrated, but I was more worried about my friend because she was actually new to the game. I thought this experience was going to turn her off from Neverwinter, but I was surprised to hear her laughing in her mic as we were being slaughtered, and I found that I myself was laughing. And she actually said something that caught me off guard. She said, I'm actually having more fun in this dungeon than I was with the last few quests we were doing outside of it. Now, we didn't actually succeed in the dungeon. I'm going to work to up my character stats through gear and everything. But we still had a good time. Maybe I'm alone on this. I can't speak for everybody, but for me, the challenge is what makes a game fun. If you're so good at something that victory is pretty much being handed to you, is it really fun for you then? Or is it something that will get boring really quick? With that said, I'm okay with the challenges being restored back in even in the early parts of the game. Maybe there's a way they could balance it out a little better where it's a little harder still for the older players, but not impossible for the new players. But I'm not an expert at that. I don't know how such a thing could work or be pulled off. Other than what I've already stated, that the older players need to learn to work with the newer players. By doing that, the newer players will stick around, and eventually they will become strong, like the more experienced players. Now, not every player is going to agree to what I'm saying, but honestly, you're playing an MMO, an online game with multiple other players. If you don't want to help the other players, why are you even playing an MMO then? You could just as easily play a game with a similar mechanics, such as Fallout, which is a not Fallout Vault 76 or whatever it's called, but the solo ones, the ones where you just play by yourself, grow levels, and up your stats. I know there's a world of difference between Fallout and Neverwinter, so don't get me wrong on that. I'm just saying every one of those games, when you strip away all the things that set each of those games apart from one another, they all have the same basic mechanics. You kill things, you complete quest or task, you gain experience, you grow levels, you then up your stats in the way you see fit the most. Those things are the same in all of those games. If you don't want to help people, then play one of those solo games. But if you're doing an MMO, and I also bear in mind that some of you like PvP, and that too is understandable. But if you yourself would want help from others, then you need to be willing to also give that help. Don't let these changes ruin a game for you. This game is still fun. And while it is also, it gives a player a rush to be able to show off their powers to the other players as a way of saying, hey, look what I can do, and show them that you can take down something with ease. Yeah, I get that feeling too. But like I said, a game can get boring really quick when victory is handed to you. Give these changes a chance. And take the time and honestly ask yourself, is the challenge really a bad thing, or does it make the game fun again? That's that's my subject for today. Anyways, my name is Statton. Like, share, and subscribe. You all have yourselves a good day, and remember, you are not alone.